so that we can send that out later as needed. Okay, so as a way of getting things started today, I want to know, what was your biggest lesson that you learned from the last week? And not to put any restrictions on it whatsoever. That might have been something that you learned from the Floor U training. It might have been something that you learned from a ride along from a secret shop. It might have been something that you learned just spending time with another franchise owner or with another design associate. But I want you to share with the group, what was the biggest thing that you learned in the last week? And I do this because I want other people to be able to learn from your experiences as well. So Jenny, I'll let you get started. That would be Jenny Carter.
Thanks. Good morning. My biggest learning is that, in truth, I still have a lot to learn. I feel, because I've been an Apple kid my whole life, with Macs and phones and things of that nature, learning the tablet in and of itself, there's a lot of different options and ways to do things. So even though I might do things different than a different design associate, we can both get to the same outcomes by just kind of pressing a few different buttons, if you will.
Nice. All right, let's go to, all right, we're going to stick with the Jens. How about Jen Hine?
Well, I was going to say good afternoon. Yeah, the other Jenny just took the words right out of my mouth of not necessarily about Apple. I do tend to be on Apple, but about all the, like with my franchise owner, it's just like going all kind of those little tips and tricks to like duplicate options and such. It's just like, so a few things that, yep, I haven't learned on any, on Floor U. It's just like, and so I would say those have been some of the bigger lessons. And I find that, yeah, there's a lot to learn about. I would say it's just like about some of the options that are in the mobile unit too. So yeah, feeling like there's a lot to learn still.
Nice. All right, we've got 3 Jens Jenny's on the call. So Jen Reichel.
I'm so sorry, I was coming back from the bathroom and missed your question.
What's the biggest thing that you learned in the last week? And it could be something from a ride along, it could be something from the training material, it could be something from a secret shop. Just share your experience with others so that they have a chance to learn from what you've learned.
Okay, I think the biggest lesson this week was having persistence with someone who was trying to get me to come down on my pricing. I had already given her a little bit of a cut, and then we were at under 5,900, and I brought it down to about 5,600, and she was trying to get me to 5,000, which of course at that point we're not making anything. And so I just stayed persistent with her, gave her the reasons why we were better than the other offer, offered her financing, went back and forth with her and just wouldn't give in. And then she said, okay, I'll make it up. I'll make up the difference. And she signed. So
nice. Nice. Dan Voss.
Hey, I would say the biggest thing I learned in the past week was going on a ride along with my franchise owner, Christina. So we closed that sale that day, and I turned to her afterwards and I said, the sales system that we go through in training, it works. There's a reason why we have the script. There's a reason why there's rapport building, the different questions that we're trained to ask. And seeing that firsthand alongside Christina and having her go through that system, and even at the end asking, so what made you buy with me today? Just seeing that all firsthand was really helpful, and made me realize, all these systems and processes are in place for a reason. So yeah, that was cool to be a part of.
Nice. So just to follow up on that, at any point did it feel like that the customer was under any sort of high pressure?
No, and that's exactly why I believe it works. It was a nice flow. It was natural. Even the rapport building of looking around and what's on her walls. Oh, there's a picture of Paris. Let me ask her about Paris. And then now she's talking about how much she loves going to Paris. Things like that just makes it so much more natural and free flowing. So yeah, at no point did it feel like it was forced.
Nice. Nice, good. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see, Tyler Simmons.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from the last week is the importance of coordinating on the back end after a project's been sold and booked. Just all the steps that go in working with your production coordinator and all those things, making sure everything gets ordered, everything gets followed up on, all that stuff.
Nice. All right. Blake.
Yeah, mine isn't necessarily kind of sales associated, but as a new franchise owner opening up, the importance of getting my office manager on board to free me up to go do some other things and to take over a lot of the things that I'm neglecting. So I put out an offer for an office manager just yesterday. She and I had a conversation today, going back and forth, kind of negotiating on the overall kind of package there, but can't wait to have someone in the boat with me because I'm not paired up with my wife in this, and I need a partner as I open this business.
Nice. Nice. All right. Stupid side shoot. So I'm goofing around with Joe and with Alan and Grant this week, and we're watching stupid videos, and we pulled up the Key and Peele video where he's a substitute teacher. Bilake.
Yeah, Bilake. I had a 2-year job where that was pretty much my name throughout the entire company. So actually,
Yep.
And outside my office, I had a picture of that guy and said Balake. So I can take it. If you guys haven't seen it, look up assistant teacher Key and Peele. It's fantastic. The first one.
Yeah. I go by Aaron.
Aaron.
That's
yep.
right. I'm gonna see your name. Don't worry. That's how, by the way, that's how we got on that stupid video, because we were talking about Aaron. All right, Aaron, while we've got Aaron, let's go.
Quick update from me. I finally got all the last pieces to my mobile showroom in my van just this morning. So that's what I've been doing. I've been loading it all up. So it's ready to go. Just got to get it wrapped now.
Nice. Nice. All right, Rex and Amy, your biggest learning in the last week.
So our office manager is here getting all his technology set up. So I agree with Blake that is an important hire. And I'm not just saying it because he's sitting in the room, but I think for me, the biggest, so I actually went and quoted flooring replacement in our church, and that was a fun room to do. And so we've been trying to find interesting things to try and quote, because, you know, a square room's awesome, but the one that has 17 walls and they're all a different shape is kind of wild.
Yep. And for me, trying to figure out the actual specs for a forklift. I don't know if FCI really don't have them, but I figured them out on my own, and we have a forklift bot. So that's awesome too.
Nice. Let's see, Nikki.
Now go set up.
I am with Blake and Amy and Rex on a lot of learning going on the last week with my office manager being hired. I had mentioned to you guys that she's been fantastic. She's she's really completed all of our vendor applications that I hadn't completed, and also helped with my financial applications for the owner finance or the financing companies. And I reached out to my counterpart in Pensacola and asked him some other ways to find installers, and he suggested that he's been having luck on CareerPlug, and I hadn't thought of that. So that's another thing that I am trying this week.
Nice. Nice. Where are we at? Jeff and Carrie.
Hello. I got two things. First off, strong recognition of using the tablet over and over and over just to really work through it and get a room done in 15 minutes. That was very helpful last week on all the homeworks and everything, and the practices and the online training. And I think the other thing was Savannah made a recommendation to us about our boards, because we bought the boards from Jim Porch. A couple of them were pretty banged up. She recommended Pool, what was it? Pool bumpers, what are those, floaties? To cut down the middle and then wrap the edges. Well, instead I went to Lowe's and I bought pipe wrap, and same thing, you know, and protects the edges. Just get the 1 inch kind because the 1/2 inch doesn't fit around our boards very well, but good way to preserve the boards in the truck.
Nice. Nice.
I guess what I learned, I guess I learned that there's a band named Gaelic Storm for one. And then the second thing, I guess my biggest thing was realizing that financing could be our friend. Instead of, you know, thinking of it as costing us money, it actually can be a great tool.
Nice. Nice. Let's see, Mark.
Yeah, I feel like over the past week, there's been a lot of learning with ride-alongs, with the Floor U and training, and even this course. So just trying to take it all in, take good notes, review the notes. But I was on a ride-along this morning, and we had a client who went shopping at Floor and Decor, and they were wondering why, you know, the pricing for what they thought was a similar product at Floor and Decor was around $3 a square foot for the product, and we're at, you know, $450-ish. And my owner was kind of explaining how it's not the same product, the core is different, the locking mechanisms, and we were in a house previously in the week where you could see the floor was kind of separating and the locking mechanism was broke off. You could see the crease, and that's the type of quality that you're going to get by going to one of those big box stores. So just because it was fresh in my mind, I thought that was good, you know, seeing her, you know, combat against one of the big box stores.
Nice. Nice. Let's see. How about Roger and Alondra?
We already built our bin system. We already connected the band. We're just waiting for the wrapping. About what we learned. So
yeah, so this week, as we mentioned yesterday, I guess with our other franchises, I guess it's important to mention to all the DAs. We had this meeting with another co-ops here in Florida, and it was a very enriching meeting because we were discussing about what are the things that
important to be read.
What are the things that have an influence on the close rate? And one of those is pricing correctly the client. So it's very important to do the measurements right. It's very important to know what to do. And if you are not being careful, or if you do not know what to do on each specific situation, you will be ending on being out of market against another competitors. So it was really great to us seeing what other companies were doing in our market, and for us to know if we were overpricing, which was the case. It was not only us as new franchises, it was also it was something that all franchises were doing. It was, I mean, it's not judging, but you need to be careful because that affects your close rate, and probably they were making probably 20% of close rate. And if they were like a little bit more careful on those things, they could be closing 40 to 50%.
Nice. Nice. Good. Very good session in Orlando this week. Good. Robin, big learnings for you this week.
Yes, sir. A big learning. Probably two things. One, stairs. Stairs are not just stairs. They're much more complex than I thought they would be. So that was an interesting subject. And the other one was don't get desperate. Don't focus on one applicant too fast. In the beginning, I got a couple of applications when I posted the office manager position here in Knoxville. And I got a lot of interesting applicants, and I started to think, do I just need to make a choice with one of these guys, or should I stay more patient and keep on going with the process? I stuck to the process, and all of a sudden started finding some really good candidates that you helped me with some caliper tests for. So fingers crossed that I'm able to narrow that down soon. But yeah, those were the two biggest learnings.
Nice. Jonathan.
So I learned that I don't know anything about Facebook and Google advertising, and it's really expensive.
Good deal. Well, who knows? A month from now, maybe you'll learn a lot more.
Yeah, no, that's the goal. At least other people know about it, so that's good for me.
Chilly.
Nice. Patrick.
Yeah, so I think one thing that I really learned this last week was just really the power of not just the warm up, but really developing a relationship with customers and just staying curious. There was an instance where we went into a home that needed to replace some carpeting or carpet, and there was like big stain, everything, and they wanted to take a chunk from another area of the carpet and like piece it together, which is like more difficult to do. But as like we were going and staying inquisitive, it comes to find out it was like a rental home, and she just opened up like more and more about like why she needs the money. It got us a better idea of like her budget, and just her even trusting us, telling us that it was like a big like family kind of like passed down rental to her son. So I think overall it really gave us really good insight on how to best serve her and consult and get the most accurate like quote for her. So
Nice. Nice. All right, let's hear from a veteran. Nate.
Hey, so I actually had kind of an interesting thing happen this week that I guess is more of a reminder for me, but I want to share with the group. You know, we had a client, Robinettes, we've been working with, that we were trying to land a big deal with. It's a little over $20,000. And the husband Patrick was stuck on price. Even though he had told us there was one quote higher, they had a couple that were lower than us and wanted to continually try to drag the price down. So we actually had a conversation, and it was a beautiful thing because somehow we got on side-by-sides, utility vehicles. And he shares with me that he bought a Polaris utility vehicle. He was looking at a CF Moto, which is a Japanese kind of off-brand, still good units. But and I said, well, why'd you go with the Polaris? And he said, honestly, he said, I just felt like they were better quality. And if something happened, it gives me confidence I have somebody to go back to. And it landed right in my lap. And I said, Patrick, I said, think about what you just said. Okay. And I said, you know, we are a hair more expensive than one of the other quotes that you got. But I said, you want somebody that you're confident in the quality. You're confident that they're going to be there if you need them. And that, you know, we're going to take great care of you. And we signed the deal that day. And it was a good reminder for me that we, you know, if I get in that desperate feeling like I'm going to lose the deal off price, be proud of the work we do and share the reasons why. And you'll still get a very high close rate off that, even on bigger deals.
Nice. Yep. Being able to personalize what you're talking to the customer about, it's gold. I love it. Tim Peraza.
Yeah, I would say just kind of go back to the beginning of it. Just moving stuff from InspireNet to Salesforce and knowing that you have to sync it, you know, in order to adjust it on either app, that, you know, pulling from the tablet would actually make it so any adjustments you made, unless you synced it back up, it wouldn't reflect that on Salesforce. So when you're following up with customers and trying to give them multiple bids or maybe adjust it, you know, after the fact, it makes it really difficult if you don't know you got to sync it. So definitely learn that one.
Nice. Nice. Let's see. How about Jessica? I know Jessica's going back through a ton of this stuff and rewatching recordings. What have you learned this week?
I hate to just say it, but I have learned so much. As you know, this is my second week with the company, with the brand. So I'm really just trying to immerse myself in all aspects, get to know the team that I'm going to be working with. and really just hit the ground running. So I appreciate you all sharing your stories too. I'm learning from you guys as well.
Nice. All right. So speaking of your team, how about Beth?
Hi, guys. Yeah, what I learned this week, I've been really experiencing through you guys and all the classes that I've been on, but from my experience and being out there and doing ride-alongs with other companies, really getting to know the person and who they are is so important. That customer, you make more strides than trying to give them a discount. So that's what I've learned in my past experiences, but also from hearing what you guys are learning from your own experiences.
Nice. Let's see. Eric is hiding. Let's see if Eric is there.
I am here. So I'm just going to build on this whole price thing. I went on a ride along yesterday, and the thing that I learned from that ride along is that we are a flooring solutions company, and we're not just there to sell floors. And sometimes the customer thinks they want something, but there are potentially other options. And so what had happened was this customer, it was a refinishing project. They were tearing out 2 walls in their kitchen. They wanted us to refinish their floors, but they wanted us to weave in the wood from the new floor that they want in the kitchen into their old wood floors. And we talked to our contractor, and they said, you know, just based on the kind of the wood and all the specs and everything, it just was going to be a ridiculous project. And so we were actually able to come up with a quote for giving them brand new floors that was only a little bit higher than actually sanding down and weaving in that floor. And so we were able to present that. Now, I don't know yet if it's going to sell or not, because it was just yesterday. You know, they were going to get back to us, but at this point, you know, we were able to come up with a creative solution for them that was within the same kind of price range that would give them completely brand new floors.
Nice. Like it. I like it. Always keeping your eyes open, right? Good. All right. So I have with me, live and in person, I've got Sandra with me. So we'll get her on the camera here.
Hello. So Arlen said I've been here a day and a half now with him and a few other folks that I've been lucky enough to learn from. So it's hard to pinpoint one thing this week for me. But I was feeling quite lost until I got here this week. And so this has been huge for me. I actually learned how to use the measuring tool. So now I can do homework. So yeah.
Good. Good. All right. Let's see. Who have I missed? John Poon. I know I've missed you.
Yeah, sorry. I think my biggest lesson this week is make sure you're not the only PM working in the corporate world for a company. I'm getting destroyed right now on trying to finish off my last day, but throughout the week, I mean, I've been attending meetings and hearing how everybody experienced, especially in the Orlando convention. It looks like, you know, gotta kind of really look at how to do the proposals correctly. So that way, like you said, not to get ourselves priced out. And also notice that on those financing options, it's great that we offer that, because the way I see is it does help land more work for you, giving that option to the owner, where telling the client that, you know, it can kind of help really help with their cash flow, not having to put all the money up front, you know, to finance the project, and all these different options, you know, to meet their budget, you know. And the other thing really caught me too, like Robin said yesterday, was the stairs, how a lot of how it's estimated and stuff. And then there's still some learning curve on that, because after hearing the rep from Stair Tech, there's still some things that's questionable in my head, how he's going to come up. And the thing that surprised me on the stair estimate is that it seems like if we ever encounter a curved or spiral stair, it's a lot of work for us. You know, so that it's pretty crazy to hear that he wants a template for every stair, whatever is matching. And then I was kind of a little skeptical on him telling us, oh yeah, we're gonna produce you shop drawings for the owner to approve and sign off. You know, it's kind of weird for a homeowner to sign off saying that, you know, we approve it, but as Floor Company International, we're the expert, you know, and it's just kind of caught me on that by surprise on that one.
Nice. All right, good. Let's see. How about Michael?
Yeah, hey all. Sorry, I'm actually getting delivery of my bin system at the office right now. So apologies for not being on camera and probably being a little spotty here. But I would say a huge learning for me this week. It's not really a new learning. It's like a reminder. The logistical details, excuse me, can really throw you off from focusing on the big stuff. And I've fallen behind on sales training because I'm running around doing so many things, and I've got to find a way to get my, the details done and my schedule back to where I can have some blocks of time to catch up on sales training. But I assume that'll be a consistent sort of thing we wrestle with as owners throughout the course of the first 6 or 9 months.
Yeah, you probably don't want to hear this, but you probably have more free time now than you will for several months.
Yeah. Thanks, Arlen. Thanks.
It's probably not the encouraging words you wanted, but I just can't help but tell the truth. All right, let's see. Ryan Davis. I saw him pop in and then he popped out. Let's see if Ryan's still around. Don't see him.
Here we go.
Gotcha.
Here we go, yep. Ryan Davis. Yeah, sorry about that.
So Ryan, what's your biggest learning from this week?
A bunch as I got, been in the business a little longer than, most here. Been on the rep side and the retail side. But yes, going back through these steps is a couple months in. We're still not totally all the way there going to how you want to doing it, but I've got experience in the before of, going over the meetings to, everybody's struggle to, always be welcome into a house, always compliment their house, get it measured, talk product. That type of stuff is definitely great. Listening is, kind of flooring 101, which is important. But one thing's keys I've always had over the years is just having that conversation to get in the house, then having that conversation when it comes to finally the products. And when you're in there talking, complimenting their homes, tell them, they're nice, always being complimentive, and then kind of get off base, but then then go after the numbers, when they're ready, as far, measurements, always talking about what they want to do, what they might want to do. But one thing is, as new as everybody else, you have to go through those steps or you will not close the job. That's for sure.
Good. All right. Did I miss anyone? If I missed you, it was purely by accident, but I don't think I did. I think I got everybody. Let me share this other screen. We're going to take a very, very fast look at the scorecard, and I want to just acknowledge, for everybody's benefit, where'd my Zoom go? Just acknowledge for everybody's benefit that there is a bug in week 2. When you're going into Floor U in week 2, I know exactly where it is, but I can't fix it. And essentially what happens is when you get into the week 2 learning plan, it will never mark you more than 90%. There's one of those LVP videos that just won't mark over as complete no matter what you do to it. I've tried deleting the video and putting it back in. I've tried everything I know to do with it, and it just won't do it. So when you see here that you're at 90% in week 2, well, that really is 100%. So as you look through this, we can see so far you guys should be 100% finished with week 1, 100% finished with week 2, which basically means 90%. This week we will assign week 3. Okay, not a big issue there. So you can look over and see your name, and then as I scroll across, we'll get into the design associates as well. Coming across the right, and remember, I will send this to you in the recap. So if I'm moving too quick for you right now, you will get a copy of it in the recap. I'm extremely excited to see some of these ride-along numbers. I mean, Tyler's at 25, Patrick's at 18. We got 15 over here for Jennifer, 16, 20, 13. A ton of ride-alongs that are being done. I can't overemphasize the importance of that ride-along. Having the opportunity to see this in person, having the opportunity to not only see the sales system, but to see all the technical things that can happen when you walk into a home. You know, what am I going to do when I walk in and the middle of the floor is buckled up? Well, hopefully in one of these ride-alongs, you're going to see some weird stuff so that you kind of know what to do with it when you get into a house. So not only are the ride-alongs for learning the sales system, but they're also there for learning the technical aspect of things. And for the franchise owners on the call, if you can arrange to do even 2 or 3 ride-alongs with neighboring franchisees, it's well worth doing. I know some of you are kind of you feel like you're sort of in an isolated area. You're 2 or 3 hours away from the closest franchise owner. That's all right. It's worth getting in the car and going. You know, spend a day with somebody and go do 2 or 3 ride-alongs with them. It's well worth it.
Hey, Arlen, where do we put ride-alongs in? Or is that not for something the owners have to submit somewhere?
If you want, you can send them to me. That's fine. I don't really track the ride-alongs for owners.
Oh, okay.
But I'm happy to mark it on this sheet. If you just send me the number, I'm happy to mark it.
Oh, I mean, I just didn't know if we were supposed to. So
yeah, I don't really
track
it for franchise owners. It's something that we've talked about doing, but I haven't started tracking it for franchise owners. It's more the DAs that I track it for, because I just want to. And honestly, it's not to hold the DAs accountable. Don't tell anybody, wink, wink, nod, nod, but it's more to hold your franchise owners accountable to make sure that you're actually getting the ride-alongs that you should be getting. So there's that. Good. Any questions about the homework from last week? Anything that you saw in the training material that you had questions, doubts, concerns about?
Hey, Arlen.
Yeah.
Were you able? I emailed you about the week 4, the video, the YouTube video that it's just like that had gone private. Were you able to fix that issue?
No. So that video it was on the custom building products website, and it was a video that we were using with permission, and they've made changes on their website, and I've talked to their technical people. They're trying to restore it, but at the moment it's not restored yet. So
Okay.
if they can't restore it within the next few days, I'll find something else that covers the same material and
Okay.
replace it.
Yeah, because it stops you from completing the week 4. You know, it just kind of locks it up. So it's like, okay, not a big deal, but
Right. It would be nice to be able to finish that, wouldn't it? Get that done. All right, let's seems like Zoom doesn't want to participate today.
I did have one issue on the week 2. It was showing me like step 3, 101. I couldn't finish it. So it's only showing 80%. And then I'm having that issue with LVP as well. And then week 1 showing that I didn't do anything. So I'm just curious if maybe I made a mistake or something like that. Just want to make sure I'm on point with everything.
Tim, let me take a look at yours. I know about the week 2, you know, the LVP thing. But if your week 1 is showing 0, then that's a different issue. So I'm going to make a note and see what we can find out there.
Thank you.
All right, good. So let's just dive right in. So far, what have we done? So far, we have talked about setup calls. We've talked about the warm-up and the importance of the warm-up. We've talked about the inspection and the reference list. And today we're going to dive into step 3. We're going to spend some time in the inspection video and talk about how to do that and what to do with that. And we're going to talk about how you measure a job. We're also going to spend some time today looking at the tablet and working through some of the things in the tablet. So some of you have had more experience with the tablet than others. If you don't have it handy, you might want to grab your tablet real quick so that you've got that in hand, if at all possible, because you might want to follow me as we walk through some of the tablet things. So to dive in, step 3, we do an inspection video. Who can tell me what the purpose is of doing an inspection video? What is it? Why do we do it? What's the big deal with an inspection video?
To confirm your findings and probably look at any special conditions that you need to show your installers so they are aware.
All right, well, let's back up a second. So who is the audience for the inspection video? Who are we shooting this video to?
The client.
Yeah, the customer.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is a video for the customer. So John, I agree with shooting a video for my installers, but this is a different video. I'm gonna shoot it, if I need a video for my installers, I'm gonna do that differently. This is a video specifically for the customer. So what am I trying to do with this video? What is my point of taking this video?
To establish that there's a problem and for the homeowner to own the problem.
Okay, I want to establish a problem. I want the homeowner to take some ownership of the problem. What else?
To really confirm with the client that what you're delivering or.
Okay, all right, what else?
I think I caught a note about, oh, sorry.
It
Go ahead.
establishes you as an expert, and also, if there are issues, it can create some urgency to help them understand why they need to get taken care of.
Good, all right, so there's some urgency that we're trying to create. Jen, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it was the whole, it's just like going, I thought I caught a note in training about how it was like change the sale from a want sale to a need sale. It's just like going, that there's a need for them to replace the floors.
I like that, I like that. Okay, so when you're shooting this inspection video, okay, yeah, for sure, this inspection video is trying to drive some urgency. The big thing that, honestly, the big thing that the inspection video is doing is it's helping your credibility. Now, how would a video help your credibility?
So you're the expert, yeah.
Okay, maybe it helps you feel like you're the expert. It helps the customer feel like you're the expert. How else can this help your credibility?
This is Nate. I think, when you're shooting the video, obviously you're highlighting, potential problems, things you may see, obviously to not only create urgency, but, you also want to make sure you speak intelligently as the expert to what those problems are, the potential issues they could cause in the future, or maybe tie them back to reasons why they're wanting to replace their floors and basically putting that in a visual presentation where they can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
like
was
that.
going to say. When I rode along with my counterpart in the county over, he really did it as a summary. So it was restating what they had already discussed together. So it was kind of validating why he was there and what they agreed on and what the project needed.
Oh, listen to that.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It
Go ahead,
also
Amy.
gives you a chance to prove you are listening.
Right, being a
Yeah.
good listener, yeah.
So what a better way, I can't think of a better way to drive my own credibility than to show the customer that I was listening to them. So when I simply use the video to repeat back to them what it was that they said was important to them, it takes my credibility way, way up. And especially if I can use their words. So this is where active listening is such a big thing. Active listening is such a huge thing. So you think about it, I talk to a lot of salespeople. I mean, I do this class 6 times a year. You can imagine the hundreds of people that I've talked to, and I can't tell you how many salespeople get on this call and say, oh, I'm going to be a great salesperson because I can talk to anybody. And generally my first question to them is, okay, but can you listen to anyone? Because I really don't care if you feel like you can talk to a tree stump. I want to know if you can listen to that tree stump. I want to know if you can get information from that tree stump, and if you can listen and actively listen so that you can use word for word back to them what they said. And when I say word for word, I mean word for word. If you can the exact words that your customer used, especially in a video back to them, it drives your credibility up so high. It's funny because you look at like social media, you look at the media online that's popular, and it's all video. It's all video, whether it's Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, whether it's YouTube videos, it's all video. And for whatever reason, even though in our brains, we know, we absolutely know with 100% that all the stuff that we're looking at online is fake, the reality is that we believe it. So you see some guy make an incredible bat, it's like, oh, this is impossible to make, but it was on video, so clearly he had, no, he didn't, it's fake. But we believe we saw it on video. Well, here you have the opportunity to share the customer's words back with them in a video. People believe videos 73% of the time. It doesn't matter what's on the video. It's this crazy statistic. And here you're using the customer's words back to them. So now they believe what you're telling them simply because you use their words, you use what they said to you, and it's now on a video. Video format is so powerful for people, and it's only getting more and more powerful. So I'm going to share with you a little script. This is not word for word, okay? I don't want you to feel like I have to do it exactly this way. You don't. The point of the inspection video is to point out the big thing and the small thing. Like, this is something that I found in your carpet, and this is something that needs to be fixed. Generally speaking, how long do you think this inspection video should take? What do you guys think?
30 to 30 seconds or less.
So one,
Yeah. 1 minute.
Yeah, less than a minute.
no more than a minute and a half.
30 to 45.
I'm going to tell
30
you
seconds.
about 1 minute is probably max. Yes, okay, if there's a lot to go through and it's a minute and 10 seconds, you're probably okay. 45 seconds or even 30 seconds is even better, but no more than, put a guide on yourself for no more than a minute. This is quick. So how are you going to shoot an inspection video for a 6,000 square foot home in less than a minute?
You focus on the small problem, the big problem.
That's it. The answer is I'm not going to shoot 6,000 square feet. I'm going to shoot two things. I'm going to shoot a small problem and a big problem. All right, so Blake, what is the small problem and what is the big problem?
Small problem is something that you point out as an expert, and the big problem is the problem they called you in for.
Okay, I like that. Okay. The big problem is what the customer says is the big problem, right? It's not what I think the big problem is, it's what they think the big problem is. I walk into a house, I see carpet, I see stains all over this carpet. I mean, my gosh, the dog has had a field day in this house. This carpet is completely stained, it stinks in the house. For me, I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh, I see the reason they're wanting to replace this. They want to replace this because of all these stains. Nope, I'm going to ask the customer. So let's talk about this. What is it about your current floor that makes you want to change it? And they say, really, I just don't like this color. Color? My God, you can't even see the color for all the stains. Okay, but that's their thing, right? So it might be that my small problem is, you've got some stains in here, but the big problem is you just really don't like this color anymore. Now, it may be backwards in your mind compared to what you see, but the big thing is whatever the customer says is the big thing. So typically with inspection videos, what holds people back from doing inspection videos is they're nervous doing it with a customer around. I get it. That's where I was, to be honest. When a customer was right there in the same room with me, I didn't really want to shoot the inspection video because they were standing over my shoulders. I will tell you how I got over that fear. I was in a customer's home. She wanted a hardwood floor replaced because the hardwood floor that she had was really, really damaged. There was a lot of damage all over this floor. And so I'm shooting this inspection video, and I think her name was Cheryl. I don't honestly remember her name. This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International. I'm at the home of Cheryl Smith at 123 Main Street. Hey, Cheryl, during my inspection, I found that there's some places over here next to the kitchen where the hardwood floor has gotten damaged by water. But the big reason that you called me out here is because of all these scratches. And I took my tablet and I zoomed in on one of the scratches. Okay, I just got really, really close to one of the scratches. So the big reason is because you've got all these scratches here. There's some here by the doorway. There's some right here in the middle of the room. She was right behind me. You know what she did? She tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, don't forget about the scratches over here on this side of the room." Okay, great. Here I thought that it was going to be an issue where, you know, I'm taking a video, I'm zooming in. No. No, the issue, she just wanted me to make sure I got all the scratches in the video. All right. So from that day forward, I wasn't afraid to do it in the house anymore. It's like, I'm going to do my thing. Okay, good. Right. So I show her the video. When I showed her the video where I had zoomed in, she goes, "Oh my God, I didn't realize those scratches, they're that big. I mean, I knew they were there, but man, to see them like that." I know it sounds stupid. I know it sounds stupid, but the reality is when you show somebody what they've got online on a screen and you show it to them in video, it drives the point home better than any words ever could do. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 10,000 words. So this is just a little script. It's just to get you started, okay? This script is not intended to be word for word. What I find is that people have the hardest time getting started because I don't know what to say to get started. Okay, well, this is just a way to get started. This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International. I'm at the home of Cheryl Smith at 123 Main Street. Hey, Cheryl, during my inspection, I found that there was some water damage over here by the kitchen. This has been caused because there's water that seems to be coming out of the sink or wherever. And if this isn't treated long-term, the wood is going to continue to cup, and it will eventually really cause a lot of damage to the floor. But the thing I'm most concerned with is the scratching on the floor. So we've got some big scratches here by the doorway. We've got some scratches over here. Oh, don't forget about that one. Okay, yep. So there's some scratches here in the middle of the room. And if this is left untreated, now that this is scratched all the way through the protective layer of the wood, these scratches are only going to get bigger and bigger from here. So I recommend that we get this hardwood floor replaced so that you can really enjoy your room. The end. All right, so I tend to follow a script like this, but this isn't intended to be a word-for-word script. What am I trying to do? Introduce myself. Where am I at? Here's the small thing, and what happens if you don't do anything about it? Here's the big thing, and what happens if you don't do anything about it? Questions on this?
What was your answer when you said you noticed the scratches on the floor? What's the cure?
I'm going to replace the floor. I mean, these were deep scratches in the wood, and it was an engineered hardwood. I mean, it was caused. What the cause?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure that I told her what the cause was in that case.
The water you did focus.
The water did, but the cause, it's okay. It's a visual impact, right? It's a visual impact. What I do want to drive home is this whole business of what happens if we don't do anything about it, right? What happens if we don't do anything about it? You guys are going to walk into a house where it's a brand new house, brand new carpet. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the carpet. So what are you going to focus on?
Called you.
Color.
What's that, Amy?
Focus on why they called you, because if they brand new house, brand new whatever, they obviously had a reason. They hate the color, they hate the feel, whatever. So that's what I'd focus on.
Yep. So whatever that is, that's what it's going to be, right? So it's a brand new house. Let's say the carpet's in there and they just hate the color of the carpet. Okay. So if this is what caused this? Well, you didn't pick out the carpet. What's going to happen if you leave this carpet the same color? What's going to happen if this goes untreated?
They're going to continue to hate it.
They're going to keep hating it. Okay, so what do you recommend, Blake?
Swapping it out with the color they like.
I love it. Good. So that what? So that the customer can
They'll love their house. Yeah.
Right. I mean, this isn't complicated. These inspection videos are not intended to be complicated, but they are one more little tactic. Okay. And let me be clear here. It is a tactic. If you never shoot an inspection video for the entire time you're at Floor Coverings International, if you never shoot one, it's okay. You can still say hello to me at convention. Everything's happy. It's okay. You're not hurting my feelings. All right. That's fine. However, this is a tactic that can help your close rate. This is a tactic that can help you drive some urgency in the sale so that at the end, when you ask for the sale, the customer doesn't say, well, I don't know, maybe those scratches aren't so bad. I just need to think about it. Now I want to use this inspection video to drive some urgency. So it's a tactic, okay? It's just a tactic to be able to help your close rate.
Arlen, how long has the company been using this video? Has this been a long-standing tactic?
Yeah, I'd say since 2013, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long-standing tactic. I mean, I know there's people that don't do it. Okay, doesn't hurt my feelings. It's just it's a way of improving your close rate. It's a way of helping the customer make a decision today instead of putting you in a follow-up cycle that you've lived with for forever and ever.
I would like to comment on that because you're saying not everybody does all of these tactics. And I'll go back to my ride along with my counterpart. He mentioned a lot of the tactics that he knows that other people aren't using, but he told me straight out, I do all of these because they work. And
Yep.
that stuck with me.
Yep. So why do you think somebody would not shoot an inspection video?
Because they might not like listening to their voice or being embarrassed to do it or don't see the value in it.
Okay. Yep, I would agree with those. Right.
I think they're
They just-
feeling rushed.
But maybe they're feeling rushed. Okay. Right. Okay. They might feel uncomfortable because they don't like to hear their voice. They might feel like, oh my gosh, the customer's watching me. It's embarrassing. Okay. I would tell you if you're not, so some of you have a long-standing sales background. And so shooting an inspection video is not going to bother you because it's okay. You do this kind of stuff. Others of you that maybe don't have a sales background or not such a long sales background, one thing that I will tell you is that there's pieces of sales that are a little bit uncomfortable at first. And to be honest, in the beginning, you just have to get used to being uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden it becomes comfortable, right? So the inspection video was uncomfortable for me until I met Cheryl. And Cheryl watched over my shoulder and, next thing you know, she's telling me to point out other things in the inspection video. Okay, great. All right, I was in another person's house, and this is 1 in 1,000. I was in another person's house that we shot the video, and then when I showed her the inspection video, oh my gosh, she yelled at me, she screamed at me. She's like, I didn't give you permission to video in my house. This is an invasion of privacy and whatever else, and she kicked me out of the house. Okay, so did I shoot an inspection video at the next house? Yes, I did. Because I'm not going to let the 1 in 1,000 derail the process. Okay, I'm not worried about it. 1 in 1,000.
So is it kind of common just to let them know you're about to do this and ask them if it's okay with them? Did you learn that from that experience?
Yeah, what I learned from that is I'll tell people, and I don't normally call it, for the customer, I don't normally call it an inspection video. I call it a digital analysis. All right, I'm going to do a digital analysis of your space. Right, that's a fancy way of saying video, right? I mean, but we call it a mobile showroom instead of it's a funny little van. So, it's okay. All right, good stuff. Any other questions around the inspection video? I'm going to shift gears. All right, good. So step 3, shot our inspection video, and now we're going to move on to measuring and estimating. Measuring and estimating. So what is the purpose? What are we trying to do when we measure and estimate this space? Seems like a silly question. What are we trying to do when we're measuring and estimating?
Figuring out the
We're trying to
scope
get
of
an
the job.
accurate understanding of not only the scope of work, but how many materials, what we need from a labor cost standpoint and everything like that.
Yeah, okay. So Nate, can I simplify it and say we're trying to come up with a price? Is that okay?
You hit the nail on the head, man. That's that I couldn't have said it better myself, Arlen.
I'm just trying to keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to keep it simple. All right, so at the end of the day, when I'm measuring and estimating, I'm trying to come up with a price of the job, okay? I'm just trying to come up with a price. I'm gonna show you some techniques, I know that different franchise owners will coach you different ways, and that's fine. If your franchise owner is telling you to do something a little bit different, follow what they say, it's okay. At the end of the day, like for a hard surface job, all I'm really trying to do is come up with a number of square feet. That's it. I just need to know how many square feet it is. Okay. Case in point. Let's assume for a moment. Okay. Let's assume. I know assumptions are dangerous, but let's just make some assumptions here. Let's assume for a moment that we're going to do a luxury vinyl plank, and we're going to do it over. Let's say we're going to do it over tile. We're not going to remove the old floor. So I'm just going to do an LVP floor over tile. Okay. Let's say that the LVP that I'm going to select happens to be $2 square foot. $2 a square foot. That's my cost. $2 a square foot. And now let's assume that I have an installer that'll install it for $1.50 a square foot. Okay. Now, trim work, quarter round. I know that quarter round is based on a linear foot, but I have some rules of thumb. So I know that if I've measured a space, if I take that square foot measurement and I divide it by 3, so I take a third of it, that tends to be about the right amount of the linear feet that I need for quarter round. So for example, if I measured a 900 square foot space, I know I'm probably going to need about 300 linear feet of quarter round. That's just a general rule of thumb. Okay, it's not 100% accurate, but it's close. Okay, so I know that that's about where I'm at. And so if I've got, let's say for quarter round, if I'm paying, I don't know, 50 cents a linear foot plus $1 a linear foot per install, so that's $1.50 a linear foot. So I could take my square foot measurement, or I could take my quarter round $1.50, and I could divide that by 3. And so I could say that about 50 cents a square foot is about what my quarter round product and install is going to be. All right, so that's a little bit advanced. Okay, that's okay. But let's say that I'm choosing an LVP that's $2 a square foot. I've got an install rate for $1.50 a square foot to install, and I've got 50 cents per square foot for quarter round. It's the way that you do it, but to give you a general rule of thumb. So I know that when I'm doing an LVP job, if there's no furniture move might be different, tear out might be different or whatever, but just the install is going to be about, let's say $2 plus $1.50 plus 50. I know that it's about $4 a square foot. Okay, and then tear out might be, there might be something for tear out, there might be something for furniture. So if I measure 1,000 square feet, I know that my cost for that job is going to be about $4,000. Plus or minus, okay? So if I use a 50% margin, then I know the cost to the customer is going to be about $8,000. I don't have to measure anything. I can look at Zillow and find out that the space I'm looking at is about 1,000 square feet. Okay, well, for this particular, yeah, I'm looking at about $8,000 to do this job. You following where I'm going with that? Okay. All right. So if I'm estimating a job, in step 3, all I'm really trying to do is come up with a rough number, and then I'm going to tighten things up before I tell the customer exactly what it is. But when I'm thinking about measuring and estimating a job, I'm going to use the tablet so that I can get a little bit more precise, but also kind of, you know, it's not a bad thing to kind of know, yeah, things are going to be about this. So if I measure this 1,000 square foot space and I come up with a price that's 20 grand, something ain't right. It's important over time. New people, it's going to take a little time to sort of put these things together. But over time, it's important to kind of get some rules of thumb and some rough estimates in your mind so that you kind of know about what to expect. Okay, and that's really all I'm trying to do in step 3 is I'm trying to get pretty close. Okay, I'm trying to get pretty close. So how do I want to measure? Well, when I measure a space, I really want to square stuff off. I'm not trying to recreate blueprints so that a builder could come back in and build this room. What I really want to do is just make squares. So like if I have a kitchen like this, and let's say that there's a triangle shape that's cut off of it, I'm probably just going to measure this as a square. I don't really care about that triangle. If I've got a kitchen like this, maybe I've got two little islands in it, I'm going to try to turn this into a square as well. Yeah, you could say, yeah, but what about that little space and that little space? What about that little space? All right, if you really wanted to do a takeout or something, you could do it. But most of the time, you're going to find that these little triangle shapes, they don't really take away enough to worry about. I'm not trying to recreate a blueprint. I'm not trying to be incredibly precise. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get really, really close to the square footage that I need. All right, arguments, debates. No, you can't do it that way.
Question I have it is the room I did for the church. There was like 7 walls that were angled. Would I still be able to do that as a square?
Maybe, but in that case, you might be doing some takeouts. So here's the thing, Amy. You go into a space and you got 7 funky walls. At the end of the day, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to come up with a square footage. Okay, so it might be that I take and maybe it is a space that's got 7 different angled walls. All right, but in my mind, I break it up into squares. Somehow I break this thing up into squares so that I can make it a lot easier to measure and estimate. Ultimately, I'm trying to come up with a number of square feet. How about?
I would be concerned that my square footage would be higher than the competition's. Not that we're really showing the square footage, but then that the quote would be higher because of the.
Good. That's the debate that I wanted. Good. All right. So, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it depends on the size of this triangle. So if I look at this triangle and, let's say it's 3 feet this way and 3 feet this way. Well, 3 feet times 3 feet is 6 feet. But because this is a triangle, not a square, we're only talking about 3 square feet. Well, I don't care, because in that case, it's less than a box. I'm not selling square footage to the exact square foot. I'm selling it to the nearest box, right? Now, if this was a big room, a really big room, and this happened to be 10 feet by 10 feet, well, 10 feet by 10 feet is 100 square feet. Divide that by 2, that's 50. Well, 50 square feet is 2 boxes. So in that case, maybe I do want to do something different, right? But for most homes, these little triangles and these little bump outs and stuff, it doesn't really change your quote at all. But really good question. Thank you. All right. So take a kitchen like this. How would you measure this kitchen?
Two squares.
I like it. 2 squares.
2 rectangles.
Okay. All right. So you could, the tablet will let you do it. You could measure, you could make an L shape in the tablet. You could do that. Maybe you just don't bother with this little triangle down here, but you could do it this way. But really, the easiest thing to do is going to be to make 2 squares.
I have a question here.
Yes.
So given that you have an island in the middle, so obviously that's a lot of waste. Do you play with your waste factor when you have stuff like this?
I'll do a takeout. I'll put in a takeout.
What do you mean to take out?
Good question. I'll show you guys on the tablet. What is a takeout? Okay. But the tablet has a way to remove a certain amount of square footage. So think about when I say take out, it's a horrible name, because takeout makes me think that you're taking out furniture, you're removing something. No, takeout, I want you to think back to grade school when somebody told you that 5 take away 3 is 2. Okay, well, take away, or takeout, if you will, is how much square footage I'm going to remove from the bid.
Right.
Okay. And there's a couple of different ways to do that. All right, now let's think about, I've measured it. I'm going to shift gears, but slightly, and then we're going to go into the tablet and we're going to do some of this. We're going to do some estimating. Okay. Well, when I put together estimates for my customer, I want to be able to put together 3 options. Option 1 might be, some people call it the dream. I don't really call it the dream, because option 1, if I call it the dream, or if I call it the best way to do it, with where money is no object, it makes it sound like I'm going to go out and pull the most expensive product out of the van possible. And that's not really what I'm wanting to do. Okay. Option 1 is, but it is truly the best case scenario. So it's not necessarily the highest priced board that's out there, but it's like I'm doing a hardwood floor and we're going to do an area rug to go with it. And, there's different ways that I want to make sure that option 1 is truly, let's just call it the white glove service. Okay. Option 2 might be, if I limit myself to only what you asked for, or if I limit myself to maybe what I would have done in my house or whatever, I don't know. But option 2 is going to be about 20 or 25% less expensive than option 1. Option 3 is truly the cheapest way to do the floor and still get the job done the right way. So I'm not cutting corners. I'm not doing stuff that your competitors are doing. I want to get the job done and get the job done right. But option 3 is going to be the least expensive way to do that. Okay, so we need to think about strategy for a minute. We need to think about strategy. So I want to build 3 options. Let's just use the example where somebody says that they want a floor that, I'm going to say, looks like wood, right? I walk into the home and they're wanting a hardwood floor. They're wanting a floor that looks like wood. How could you build 3 options with maybe a 25% price gap between them for somebody that wants their floor to look like wood?
You could do an engineered, a laminate, and an LVP.
Yeah, you could. Okay. What's another way? I like that, Jen. What's another way?
You could do all LVP with a PG3, 2, and 1.
You could. Yep. All right. So what else looks like wood, Tyler?
Wood.
Wood does. Good. I like that. All right. So let's start with wood. All right. So it might be that I create, and this is a strategy. I create a strategy and I say, I'm going to create option 1 with a PG3 hardwood, option 2 with a PG2, and option 1 with a PG1. So I'm still going to stick with hardwoods, but I'm going to pull 3 different hardwoods at 3 different price points. Now, I want to be really, 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 really clear here. When I go to the van and I pull product out of the van, how many boards, how many product boards am I pulling to get an option 1 with PG3 hardwood? How many boards does this represent?
3 to 4.
Yep. So that's 3 or 4 boards. Okay, so option 1, just option 1, is maybe 3 or 4 different hardwood boards. Okay, option 2, I drop down to a PG2 hardwood. So how many boards could I maybe pull out of the van for that? Well, maybe 2 or 3 boards. Option 3, PG1 hardwood. That might only be 1 or 2 boards that I pull out of the van. Okay, so be careful. This isn't 1 board, 1 board, 1 board. No, this is 3 or 4 boards. This is 2 or 3 boards. This is 1 or 2 boards. Okay, this is a strategy. A strategy. All right, what's another strategy? Well, Jen said it. You could do option 1 with a hardwood. You could do option 2 with the LVP. You could do option 3 with a laminate. All 3 of those look like wood. So how many hardwood boards am I going to pull out of the van? Same amount, 3 or 4 boards. How many LVP boards am I going to pull out? 2 to 3. How many laminate boards am I going to pull out? Probably 1 or 2. Okay. So this is where, okay, and I want to be clear, option doesn't necessarily mean, well, when I'm pulling these options, that doesn't mean I'm only pulling 3 boards. This is my option 1 board, option 2 board, option 3 board. No, option 1, I'm going to pull 3 or 4 boards out of the van. Option 2 is going to be 2 or 3. Option 3 is going to be 1 or 2 boards. I still want the customer to feel like they have a shopping experience. What's another way that I could do this? Well, I could change spaces. So for example, the customer calls me and says that they want to do, you know, for sure they want to do the living room. They might add on the master bedroom. And while I'm there, I find out that, you know what, they might even do the whole upstairs too. Well, maybe option 1 is the whole house. Option 2 is just the main space, call it the living room and the master bedroom. And then option 3 is just the living room. Now, I personally, okay, and you guys will develop your own biases. I personally like this strategy a lot better than I do the other strategies. And the reason why is because if a customer falls in love with a particular hardwood, then to get them to fall in love with another hardwood is kind of tough. Because they already fell in love once today, and now I'm asking them to fall in love with an option 2 board, and I might ask them to fall in love with an option 3 board, okay? But on the other hand, if they find a hardwood that they are absolutely in love with, if it's too expensive, I can simply, let's just drop out the upstairs. Let's get the living room and bedroom that you were looking for. But that's still more than you want to spend today. Okay, look, why don't we just focus on the living room? But we keep the same hardwood all the way through that.
So are you offering other products for the other rooms or just omitting the other rooms?
Just in this particular case, just omitting the other rooms, okay? But to your point, I mean, this is just the way that I've got it on the slide. But it might be that I've got hardwood in the living room and carpet upstairs or something, right? That's okay, right? And this, by the way, that's when it gets kind of tricky because now you've got different types of carpet, you got different types of hardwood, and you know, all of a sudden it's not 3 options, it's 9 options or something crazy, right? It can get kind of confusing really, really fast.
And maybe the first option doesn't look like the one I would go with, just because in option 1, I'm already pulling 3 or 4 boards, and maybe I don't keep all of them PG3s. Maybe in there I mix in the 3 groups that you have as the option.
Maybe. All right. Another way to do it. Let's say that, you know, the whole house, the main space, and option 3, we remove services. So what do I mean by removing services? What can I take out of my proposal to bring the price down?
Furniture move.
Okay, yep, they can move their own furniture. What else could they do?
Remove their floor.
Yeah, they might remove the current floor, okay? Amy's already told me they live in Wichita, Kansas, and people like to do a lot of work for themselves. Make them move their own furniture and rip out their own floor. Good, we'll put in the new stuff. Good, all right? What else? What else could I remove from option 3?
Could you do a float instead of a glue down? Remove the adhesive?
Potentially. Yeah, depending on what it is, right? Maybe there's a different install method that's cheaper. Hey, remember that area rug that we talked about in option 1? What if we just what if we remove that area rug? We don't do that. You can go to Walmart and buy a rug. How about if you're working in a kitchen? We just won't put the floor under the dishwasher. Or we won't move the appliances. We'll get you to move the appliances. I've been in some homes where, you know, the customer was actually pretty handy and they wanted to do the trim work themselves. Okay, well, you can do the quarter round. Or if you want to do baseboards, do baseboards, whatever. We'll install the floor and you can do your own trim work. All right, so the point is, and is that going to be the same for everybody? No, it's not. It's not going to be the same for everybody. It's obviously going to depend on the customer. So there's a lot of different strategies involved when you start looking at how can I come up with 3 different options. Sometimes I'm going to stay within, let's say, hardwood, but I'm going to drop my price groups. Sometimes I'm going to change product type, hardwood, luxury vinyl, laminate. Sometimes I'm going to change the scope from the whole house to the main space, and sometimes I might be removing services.
Sorry, Arlen, to
So-
interject. I noticed you were just talking about the trim work and stuff. For, let's say, trim work, like baseboards and stuff. I did notice one thing in the, what about caulking for gaps? I mean, is that kind of like a factored in on the line item in the tablet, or would that be something separate?
I mean, so like caulking for trim is normally part of your install.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
it's normally assumed as part of your install price.
Okay, so it'll be included with the material, because usually install and material, so it'll be, it's 2 line items, so it'll be included. It's already included.
Yeah, it should be part of your install price.
Okay,
I mean, most of the time your installers bring their own caulk,
yes.
and it just becomes part of the install price.
Yeah, because sometimes I do encounter some installers before, they say, oh, caulking is extra. They don't caulk. No.
Okay,
So,
that's fine. But that doesn't, but I can still build it into my price to the customer, even if it's a different person that comes to do it.
okay.
All right, so let me ask the group this. Let's say I came to your home and we looked at a hardwood floor. You're doing a big space. Remember, this is a big space. And you decided, I mean, you fell in love with a $10,000 hardwood floor. Okay. But you told me that $10,000 is that's just more than you can spend right now. And you don't really want to finance. So, you know, is there anything that you can do that's cheaper? And I say, well, sure. What we could do is, instead of doing this hardwood, I've got another hardwood that looks very, very similar. It doesn't have all the same bells and whistles, but let's take a look at this other hardwood. And so you find another hardwood that you like, and I show you this hardwood floor is $7,500. So I go from a $10,000 hardwood job with one board, and we go to a different board, and I show you that with that board, it could be $7,500. How does that make you feel? You okay with that? I showed you a 10,000, we changed the product, and now I've got you a 7,500. Does that seem logical to you?
I'm gonna wonder what's missing in the quality.
Well, yeah, you're going to want to know what's changed, right? All the bells and whistles, what's the difference in the quality, right? But at least I showed you a difference in the product. So Roger and Alondra talked about being in Orlando this week, and we did some secret shopping before they ever got there. We rented 3 Airbnbs, and we had different companies come to the houses and do estimates before we had the franchise owners and design associates do estimates in the same house. So that way the franchisees and the DAs could compare their estimates to one another, and then we could show them this is what your competitors are doing in the same area. All right, so in the house that I was responsible for, Empire came, and Empire gave a quote of $25,600. Okay, regardless of the space or whatever, Empire came and gave a quote of $25,600. Sean is the one that got the quote. I didn't meet the guy. I wasn't there. Sean was down there and he met him. The guy told Sean, just because it's you, I really want to be able to help you. So I tell you what I can do. If you sign today, we can do this job for $11,900. So what changed in the proposal to go from 25,000 to 12,000? What changed in the proposal?
Nothing.
Feel
No,
like
there was
you're being
nothing.
ripped off initially.
Yeah, so
Bullshit
at that
changed.
point, like, well, I mean, if 11,000 is good, why not 9,000? I mean, you know, there's no logic, there's no basis, okay? If I tell the customer, hey, we can do your whole house for $20,000, ooh, 20 grand, I can't do that right now. Okay, what if we did the living room and the master, and we could do the living room and the master for like 8,000? Well, that makes sense. There's logic, because the whole house was 20 and now these 2 spaces are 8. Okay, I can live with that. Maybe I can afford 8, maybe I can't, but that at least is a logical drop. To tell me that this house is 25,000, but you know what, just because I like you, I can do it for 12, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what your competitors do. Then they gave him some BS about, well, because this is an Airbnb, if we run this under your LLC instead of under your personal name, I could do it for $87.88. It's like, where'd that number come from? I mean, you're making stuff up. But this is what your competitors do. So what I'm trying to get you to see is when we show a customer different prices, it's not because we're playing around with margin. It's not because we're playing games. We're not doing weird stuff, and we're not being shady. Quite the opposite. When you make a drop from one product type to a different product type, or from one space to a different space, there's a logical reason that the price drops. And I, for one, am a big fan of logic. Okay, I am going to bounce out of this, and we're going to spend some time in our, where did everything go? I'm going to spend some time in the tablet, and then we will come back here. So let me stop this share. A lot of stuff happening in the chat box. Let's see where we're headed here. Good stuff. All right, let me get into the tablet. And I'm simply going to go into InspireNet. Yeah, follow along. You guys follow along.
Hey, Arlen, on the whole wood concept, I learned that this week is that I didn't even think about it being unfinished wood, and that there's a whole entire fee to sand and finish it. On top of, yeah, just installing the unfinished wood and purchasing the unfinished wood. So that increased the quote by about $6,000.
Yep. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to go into InspireNet. Okay, I'm just going to create a little training task here. So when I click the box, I can see, here we are. And I'm just going to, I'm going to skip over the inspection video only because when I'm on Zoom, the tablet, Zoom won't let me shoot an inspection video while I'm on Zoom. I don't know, the tablet and Zoom don't like each other when it comes to inspection videos. So I have to skip that part. So I'm going to move over to drawing a space. All right, so we're going to draw a space together. And since Sandra's here with me, I'm going to have her help me. Okay, so I'm going to have you get your little measuring device thingy. Okay, and I'm going to let you guys see what we are doing. So I'm going to All right. Say hello to Sandra. Okay, so this is one of the training rooms at the corporate office, and I'm going to measure this room. And this is, let's just get a room view here. So I've got, it looks like a big square. And then over here on this side, you can see that there's almost like a little entryway into this room, which is a little extra piece. So how do you guys want to measure this room?
That's 2 squares, yeah.
2 squares.
Yeah, that looks like 2 squares to me. All right, so I'm going to turn my body so that I'm facing the front door of the building. Now, I know you can't tell that, but trust me, that's the front door of the building is that way. So I'm going to have Sandra go left, right, front, back. And we're going to put this right here. So what's my left, right? 31.4. And now front, back. And what do we got front?
37.7.
37 feet 7 inches. Big space. All right, so we're going to confirm that. I'm going to call this a training room. And let's see, doors, there is one door over here on that wall, close enough. That's good enough for me. Take out, there's nothing to take out. So this is where if there was an island or something, I could take that out. Items to move, yeah, there's some furniture in here, but honestly, there's nothing major. There's certainly no appliances or heavy items or anything else. And if I wanted to take a picture of something, I could. All right, I'm just going to go back to the floor plan. And of course, I can pinch this down if I want to make it smaller like that. That's okay. So now I want to draw that extra little bit. So let's hit the square there. What do we got? Left, right? 7 feet. And front, back?
11.5.
11.5. So I'm going to call this, why not? Call it an entryway. Okay. So those two rooms, those two spaces kind of look like that. Questions about what we've done so far? I can't see you on the screen right now, so you have to speak up. All right, let's go back to our camera. So we're going to take a look at this space. It's a complicated space. So I'm not going to do anything with the carpet, but this LVP area, this is a little kitchenette. So I've got sort of this entryway here. Okay, and then kind of goes back into like a little kitchenette area that we don't really use. What do y'all think? How do you want to measure this space? What's behind the door? Oh, that just leads into the hallway. Okay. What do y'all think? How should we measure this space?
2 squares.
2 squares. Sanders laughing. Yep. It looks like 2 squares to me. All right, so what I'm going to have her do is when we get in the kitchen area, let me see, it's just a second. When we get in the kitchen area, I'm going to ask her to measure from the drywall to drywall. In other words, I'm not going to try to get funny and measure down around the bottom of the cabinets. I want to go from drywall to drywall. It's just a whole lot easier to measure. So let's do the first box. So she's going to measure that. And I'm going to get back into InspireNet.
11.7.
Square, 11.7. And then the front back. So let's go from this corner to there.
$18.5. Not rounding up right now.
I'm going to call this the kitchen. Now, let me go back for just a second. Because I want to pull this camera back in. Okay. These cabinets. Are we going to put flooring under these cabinets?
No.
No. All right. So I'm not going to remove any of those cabinets, right?
Correct.
I asked her to draw this space from here to the opposite wall, from this corner to the opposite wall. But now I have overestimated my flooring because I've got all that space under those cabinets that we're not going to use. That's what's called a takeout. I'm going to show you how we take this out. Sandra, would you measure the linear feet of the cabinets? So,
We took earlier.
yeah, but I don't remember it.
Oh, sorry. 11.7.
All right, so
18.5.
18.5, all right. And now measure from here to that little corner. So not all the way back, because we already took into account that. So just measure like here. All right, so we said, what was the other one?
18.5.
18.5 and 5'10", 24 feet. You'd be happy with 24 feet? Okay. All right, Sandra approved. All right, so I'm gonna go back into InspireNet. And I'll show you, when I go back into this room, I go into the room menu, I'm gonna do a takeout. Well, when I click add a new takeout, there's 3 ways that I could do this takeout. I could calculate the square feet. And way over on the right-hand side where it says square feet, I could plug that number in. But I'm too lazy to do this math, so I'm not gonna do it. I could put the actual measurements in. So I can measure the length and the width and put those numbers in, but my gosh, that looks like a lot of work too. These are just standard cabinets. So with standard cabinets, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in here that we have 24 linear feet of standard cabinets. When I put in the 24 linear feet of standard cabinets, you can see over here under the kitchen, I know the letters are small, but now it has told me that I've got 42 square feet of a takeout. Okay. Go back to the floor plan, you'll notice it doesn't change the drawing, but it does show me that there's 42 square feet of takeout there. All right. Anybody looking at the screen, what does it say my perimeter is?
60.
60. But is my perimeter really 60? Not really, because I made this a square, but I know that this is just part of an L. Let's go back into the room again. So I'm going to put a door. I'm going to go to the door menu, and I'm going to put a door on that top wall. And I'm going to click on door 1, but it's not really a door, it's an open wall. So when I click on open wall, it opens that all the way up. Go back to the floor plan. Now what is my perimeter?
Yeah, 48.5.
48.5, because I've told it that really that's not a door, that's just an open wall.
Arlen,
Okay, so yes,
what's the entire span? Would you just make it the door?
sorry, say that again.
If the wall was open, but it was only open 3/4 of the way, would you just make the door 3/4 of the wall?
Yeah, I just make a really long, make it a really long door. All right. All right, let's do the other space. All right, so here we are. Now we need to, I'm going to square this off. I'm going to sort of assume that like that bit sort of the same as what that bit would be. So I'm going to ask Sandra to measure from there to, actually I need to go like from here to this drywall over there, to the drywall over there. Okay. Six, and then the front back for this space. Okay, confirm that. I don't know. I'm going to call this part of the kitchen too. All right, now this time I'm going to put a door on this bottom wall. Answer the question that came up. But now this width, what is this measurement again from here to there?
11.7.
All right, so I can make that an 11'7", but I don't need a transition, so I'm going to turn that off. And if I want to, I could add a photo, that's fine. But now you'll notice, well, that actually kind of, hey, that looks kind of like what this looks like. Okay. Now I know that there is, you'll see over on the left-hand side, there's a button that says share door. If I bring these rooms close enough together, I can click that button to share door. And I'm going to tell you, just don't worry about that. It's a waste of time. you'll end up spending 20 minutes trying to share doors, and it's just not worth it.
On this one here, the 2 rooms on the training room and the little entryway here, did you not do that here because of the different flooring materials?
Because I was being lazy.
Oh.
No, just because I was being lazy. That's it. Okay. All right. So I want to find out from the group what questions are there with what we just did. No questions. All right. Everything's clear.
All right. Can you hear me, Owen?
Yeah, John.
How come on the kitchen, the takeout is not shown on the floor plan?
Because it doesn't show on the floor plan. Remember, we're not trying to make a drawing that I would give to an engineer or an architect or even a construction person. I'm not trying to create a brilliant drawing. I'm trying to come up with a square footage number.
Okay, so I mean, it just shows a takeout number, and then when so the photo, we just take a photo of where the cabinets are in that kitchen area for the installers, or how does that work?
Yep, absolutely. So I could go into my room menu, and maybe on the door menu, or maybe over here in the photos and notes, I could take pictures.
Okay.
I could add a picture. I've already moved into the other room, but I could add a picture here. Good deal. And then that's okay. And so that picture is going to upload into Salesforce for me. And so I will have the picture available. Okay. All right. So now, let's see. This big training room, if I click on the big training room, what's in this training room? Well, if I click on room menu, no, that's not what I want. Back up. Actually, you know what? Let's walk through this real quick. If I go into the room menu, I have the ability to put in doors. I have the ability to put in takeout. I have the ability to do items to move. I can do extra photos and notes. That's fine. The big training room, if I click over on the left where it says space info, the space info button gives me the ability. All right. So now space info, what is this? Well, this is removal of carpet, but it's not on pad. This is removal of a glue down carpet. So let's see if we can find, oh yeah, right there at the bottom, removal and haul away of carpet glued down. Good. Furniture move. Well, there's a lot of tables and chairs in here, but you know what? This is, I don't know. It's not that big a deal. So I'm going to still call this standard furniture move. And I'm not on a plywood subfloor. I'm on a concrete subfloor. Right? Good. So now you'll notice in the living room, in the training room, it says concrete. All right, well, how about the other 3 rooms? Well, all 3 of these are luxury vinyl planks. So I can click them all at the same time. Space info, I'm removing a floating floor. So I know luxury vinyl plank is resilient, but normally when you pick removal and haul away of resilient, you're looking at something that's maybe glued down. And something, removal and haul away of resilient with subfloor is maybe you're removing a sheet vinyl or glued down luxury vinyl and the 1/4-inch plywood that's underneath it. In this case, this is just a floating floor. So I'm going to remove the floating floor. What is my subfloor? It's still concrete. All right, good. So now I've got subfloor in each one of these spaces. I'm happy with that. And I can hit my $sign to move forward to the next screen. Okay, well, let's set some rooms to install some stuff. Let's say that the customer said they wanted a hardwood floor, or they want this to look like wood. Well, I'm going to click on these 3 rooms. I'm going to set my install info. What is my product type? I'm going to pick hardwood. What is my install type? Well, because I chose concrete as my subfloor, the tablet automatically defaulted a glue down, which makes sense. I could change it, but I'm not going to change it. I don't have a pattern, so I'm going to leave that straight. Underlayment, I don't really use an underlayment when I'm gluing down. I'm not gluing to an underlayment. I'm going to need a glue that has a moisture barrier in it, but that's going to be in the glue. And subfloor work, I'm not going to need heavy subfloor. I might need a little bit, but I'm not going to need a lot. In this particular space, because this is a commercial space, I'm probably going to remove existing and install new cove base. So what floor could I use? Well, at the moment, I'm going to choose a PG3, just a PG3 hardwood. Enter. And hit the button that says complete option. All right. Now don't get too hung up on the prices you see on my screen, because I'll tell you that, you know, my tablet pulls from a test box where there's a ton of different stuff that gets jacked up all the time. So, you know, if you look at mine and say, oh, wait a minute, furniture move is only 15 cents. Mine's this. Don't get too hung up on that. Okay. This is more about learning the process. So I've got here, you'll notice at the top of this, it says that I'm using a PG3 hardwood. Good, I've got a PG3 hardwood. That's all I want to know right now. Let's go back. What's another way that I could make this look like a hardwood floor?
LVP.
Good, all right, so let's create a new option. New option. And I'm going to do it in LVP. So let's do a luxury vinyl. Floated straight, yep. Floated straight, good. How about pattern type? None. Underlayment? No. The LVP that I've got is going to have it. But because I'm on concrete, it's recommended that I use a vapor barrier. So I'm going to put a vapor barrier in there. There's going to be a little bit of basic prep, not a ton. And again, I'm going to remove and install new cove base. And I'm just going to stick with maybe a PG2 LVP this time. Floated version. All right, good. So I go from a $34,000 price to a $29,000 price. And that's an LVP. What's another way that I could do this floor and make it look like wood?
Sheet vinyl.
Yeah, I could. I'm probably going to shy away from sheet vinyl, but I could do a laminate. What do you think? All right, so let's pick a laminate. I don't know which laminate I'm going to pick, so I'm going to click these 4 buttons. Set install info. Let's pick a laminate. I'm going to use a standard 3-in-1 underlayment, and once again, cove base, and let's pick like a PG2 laminate. All right, and y'all can fuss at me for product selection later if you want to. All right, so I now have 3 options. I've got a hardwood option, I've got an LVP option, and I've got a laminate option. So I go to the van and I get my hardwood selection. How many boards of hardwood am I going to pull out?
3 to 4.
I'm going to get 3 or 4 boards. Okay. I've got my 3 or 4 boards. Notice that the very next thing on the tablet, when I hit the button at the far right that says continue to the presentation, now I've got my company story. I do a masterful job of the company story. I mean, you guys should have heard it. It's a shame that I didn't record it because, I mean, it was absolutely brilliant. It was fantastic. All right, so now I've done a great job with the company story, and I'm going to move on to my sheet here. Now, the customer does not see this screen. Okay, this is really, really important. The customer does not see this screen. I get to this screen, I'm showing the customer product, we're looking at different things, I've got my 3 or 4 boards out, and in the end, the customer has chosen this hardwood called Lakeway. It's a distressed looking board, it's a neat looking board. The customer thinks that would be a really neat and hip thing to do in this office building, so we're going to use this engineered hardwood called Lakeway. Well, what hardwood do I have priced right now?
Standard PG3, nothing.
I've got a PG3. Okay, I've just got a PG3. I want you to think of that PG3 as a placeholder. I just want you to think of it as a placeholder. Okay. So Sandra, which hardwood was it that you loved? The Lakeway. Come on, help me here. Help me here. Lakeway. All right. She loves Lakeway. Perfect. All right. So while here, you guys can time me. I'm going to go back. I'm just going to go back to my option. I'm going to click on the button that says complete option. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this section, and I want you to notice there's 5 icons at the bottom. There's a plus, there's a folder, there's a pencil, there's 2 arrows that crisscross one another, right? I call that my switcheroo button, okay? That's my switching button. So I'm going to click the switcheroo button. And now I'm going to pick Lakeway. By now, I even know exactly what color she loved. She loved that Lakeway Fireside. I click on that button. And I hit my back button. And now I can go back to, come on, I can go back to where I was before. What's my price now for Lakeway?
Around 2,000 less.
It's about 2,000 less. So we were at 34 something, now we're at 32 something, okay? But now I have the exact price for the exact product. And I mean, I spent time talking about it as we went, but I mean, it literally takes about 30 seconds to make that change. So in step 3, when I create my options, I'm going to use I'm going to use PGs. I don't care. I'm going to use PGs when I create my options to start with. Then once the customer has picked the exact product, it is a matter of seconds, literally seconds, to go back and simply switch the product to the exact product so that I know that I'm giving the customer the right price. In this case, it was $2,000 less. It might have been $2,000 more. I don't know until I put the exact product in, okay? So I don't want you guys to have, heartburn and anxiety over the fact that, well, I picked PG3, but I don't know what the real price is going to be. It's okay. In step 3, you're going to use a price group to get everything else done. That way, your proposal is written. All you have to do at this stage is simply go back and hit the switcheroo button to put the right product in.
So Arlen, my question would that be is the process? I know you said that after the presentation, don't show the customer this page. So when we're selecting after, and once the customer select the product,
John, I'm having a really hard time hearing you. Can you get maybe closer to the microphone?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you said not to let the customer look at this page after the presentation. So after the presentation, let's say we get with the customer, they select the product, then after they select the product, then we just tell them, oh, let me go outside and crunch some numbers or what?
No. I'm sitting right there in front of them. All right, so let's do it this way. All right, so John, I know you can see the screen. All right, so all right, now it's not Lakeway, it's Meander Oak. Okay, so we're switching it. We're going to switch it from Lakeway to Meander Oak. Okay. All right, so John, this Meander Oak. This is the one that you absolutely love. And John says,
yes.
John says yes. All right, fantastic. Hey, John. Okay, so now I'm still sitting here right in front of John. We're still having a conversation. Okay, you guys can time. I'm not going to talk through it this time. I'm just going to do it. All right. So, John, do you have any additional questions about what we would do, or maybe how we would do this project, how the install would look? Have you got any other questions for me?
No, not right now.
Okay, perfect. Well, just a second here. All right, John. So the total retail price for your project is $28,783. Do you see how quick that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not leaving the room to do this. Just while we're having a conversation, a lot of times customers will say, well, Yeah, how long is this going to take? Well, it's only going to take this amount of time, or it's only going to take this, or what are you going to do with the, with all my plants? Well, we're going to move your plants out on the patio and then we'll bring them back in, whatever. So a lot of times the customer is going to have a question and you can talk through that question while you're making that quick change. That quick change, yeah, I mean, you're just doing it right there with them while you're having a conversation with them.
Okay.
Hey, Arlen, how did you transition from the company story to selections that you just did?
All right, so I'm in the company story. Swipe, 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 all the way to the end. When I get to the end, then you see the little X in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to touch that X and it comes back to this, right? So now I need to go to the next screen. So there's two ways to get to the next screen. At the top of the tablet, there's a picture of a monitor, and then there's like a little suitcase. And if I click on that little suitcase, it takes me over there. Okay.
At this point, you're no longer sharing.
But I'm not sharing the screen now.
No,
so now I've
I
turned
didn't.
the screen back.
I meant verbally, like verbally. How do you transition with your verbiage?
Oh, well, this is simple. Company story, love my job. This is what we do. This is how we earn our stars. This is how you select. Hey, let's build your perfect solution. Now, what is my next step? When I leave the company story, what is the next thing I'm going to do? Now we're going to pick product. We've got 10 or 15 minutes that we're going to sit around looking at boards going ooh and ah, right? So what am I going to do when I set my tablet down? I'm going to turn the tablet back to me, and I can go ahead and cue it up to this if I want to, or I can leave it on this screen. It doesn't matter. But now I'm going to set my tablet down, and we're going to ooh and ah over product for a few minutes. Okay. All right. So let me bounce back over here for a moment. Stop this screen share. This going. It does take a minute to get all the Zoom screens back the way I want them. And the people go over there. Okay, so just to put that back into Nikki's question back into perspective, remember, we did a great setup call. We had a great warm up, step 2. Now we've measured the space. We came up with a price, but we used a price with the PGs. So I consider this a rough draft price. We went out and did a company story. We did an installation presentation. Then we spent 10 or 15 minutes oohing and ahhing over product and finding the right product and putting it up against furniture and all the different things until finally I get down to the close. Now, so step 7, when we're doing the pre-close, that's when I'm going in and I'm doing my little switcheroo button. Step 8, now I'm asking I'm showing the customer the price of your project is $32,000. Okay, great, right? So from the company story to actually showing the price, we've got this product. We've got to actually pick the product. Okay, so just going back to the map for a moment. All right, questions over any of this?
That's on step 5.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it. Where is that installation presentation?
It's right in the middle of the company story.
Oh, okay. It's while you're
Yeah, it's right in the middle of the company story. So when I go to my company story, I get into the company story. That's my installation presentation. And it pops up in the middle of the company story. I talk through the installation, and then we finish the company story.
Got it. Okay. So part 4 and 5 are together.
Yep, 4 and 5 are starting to get together. Okay, good. All right. So we did measuring. We did all kinds of good stuff, wonderful things. So let's talk homework. For homework, next week, we're going to spend time specifically around the company story. We're going to end up breaking up into breakout rooms next week. Remember that the Zoom does not record the breakout rooms. So if you miss next week, and I'll record what we do in the big room, but you'll miss what's in the breakout rooms. I'm going to ask you to learn transitions, to make up transitions between the slides. So next week, we're going to spend some time specifically in the company story. You're going to deliver the company story to each other in the breakout rooms. This is going to be a great opportunity for you guys to hear what each other's doing and to be able to work with each other and to improve what you're doing. So you're delivering the company story next week in class. I'm going to ask you to memorize the features, advantages, and benefits for carpet. Remember, there's only 4, okay? You've got lifeguard, you've got color guard, you've got R2X, and you got softback. That's it. All you're doing is memorizing what those 4 fabs are. And they're not I'm not asking you to memorize word for word. I just want you to know what they are and what they do. In Floor U, you're doing all the week 3 stuff. In Floor U, you're also continuing to work through Salesforce. Continue to work on those ride-alongs. Continue to get reference list pictures. Design associates, continue to get reference list pictures. If you missed today and you are coming back in to do the makeup, there's your makeup word. Our next call is going to be July 5th, Wednesday. So that'll be from 1 to 3 next week on Wednesday. And again, there's your makeup word. And yes, that is another Gaelic Storm song, South Australia. By the way, I saw them in concert last week. What a show. Oh my God, what a show. They are such entertainers. The music is one thing, but the entertainment live is it's off the chain. There was a young girl. She was 8 years old. The only way I know she was 8 years old is because the lead singer, you had all the people up at the front, right at the stage, and there was a family there, and there was this one young girl, and the lead singer, Gaelic Storm, actually stopped and pointed this girl out and said, "How old are you?" And she goes, "I'm 8." And he goes, "You're 8 years old, and your parents brought you into a bar to watch a group that basically sings about beer, and you're in a bar, and your parents brought you to this concert." And she said, "Yes." And he said, "That's just good parenting right there. That's all that is. That's just good parenting." Lots of fun. All right. Questions for me before we sign off? If not, then I will see you guys next week. If I don't see you before, I hope you have a great 4th next week. Sorry, Jonathan. It is what it is. I guess you can celebrate the 5th if you want to.
We actually have a long weekend as well. We have Canada Day, so no sorry necessary. But thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Fantastic. You guys have a great weekend. Have a great holiday, whichever one it is you celebrate. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Y'all take care.
You too, Arlen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arlen.
Thank you, Alan.
Have a good one.
Hey.